Yeah. Look at this. Like, yeah, no, mine was even worse. Sorry. Look at that. Mine was almost there. No, that's not possible. No, it's not. I had to like get like that's not possible for it to be there. No, I didn't say there. That's not possible either. That's not possible. Depends. Okay. Were you wearing Evolves or Scarpa?
I was wearing both.
Well, I don't think we're Scarpa, but Evolve, yeah. Because
doesn't matter.
Scarpa can't be like that.
They're both tight.
Yeah. Because if they're bent, obviously, yeah. But and that's where Evolve comes in handy. But Scarpa doesn't bend that much.
Let's go over this again. 50 cars, 50 drivers. 3 classes, 1 champion each. Racing in a variety of race formats and locations. Braving the constantly changing conditions and competition. All for a shot at the fame and glory of being the champion. Welcome to HSR Motorsport GT3 series. Is it easy racing against these guys? I don't think so. Indecision can cause chaos on the racetrack, while confidence can result in perfection. Drivers will push each other to the limits and beyond, while the champion rises through the ranks to take the ultimate glory. Battles will be fought, won and lost. As drivers fight on tracks all across the globe. There will be fear, pain and loss. There will be courage, pride and triumph. Mistakes will be made and their consequences could be dire. Precision and skill can only be noticed in the very best. This is racing. This is what we love and do. The question is, what will you do? Let's go over this again. 50 cars, 50 drivers. 3 classes, 1 champion each. Racing in a variety of race formats and locations. Braving the constantly changing conditions and competition. All for a shot at the fame and glory of being the champion. Welcome to HSR Motorsport GT3 series. Is it easy racing against these guys? I don't think so. Indecision can cause chaos on the racetrack, while confidence can result in perfection. Drivers will push each other to the limits and beyond. The champion rises through the ranks to take the ultimate glory. Battles will be fought, won and lost. As drivers fight on tracks all across the globe. There will be fear, pain and loss. There will be courage, pride and triumph. Mistakes will be made and their consequences could be dire. Precision and skill can only be noticed in the very best. This is racing. This is what we love and do. The question is, what will you do?
Hello and welcome to the HSR Motorsport GT3 Season 4 Championship. Today you join us for round 2 here at Imola, and it is looking very sunny and it is once again an Italian track. Finally, first time this season. Last week we were at Zandvoort, so Imola's just around the corner, just a couple countries away. If this is your first time joining us, welcome. The session will run as follows. We've got 45 minutes of practice, followed by 20 minutes of qualifying, and then 1 hour of racing. That racing will comprise of a mandatory pit stop, where drivers have to refuel under a fixed refueling time. However, tyres are optional, so they don't have to worry about the tyres as much. Some drivers might go for no tyre change. That adds on a couple seconds to the pit stop, or they might just go for the grip and take that 5-second loss if it means they might have a gap to the driver behind that's big enough for them to actually just come in and change the tyres, maybe get on some new rubber. Now, last week we were at Zandvoort, of course, 2 30-minute races, which means that plenty of points were scored over the sessions. So let's have a quick look at the standings, our leaderboard standings for the championship after those 2 races. First off, let's have a look at the AM standings. Currently we have Huben on P1 with 33 points in the Nissan GTR, but in P2 and tied for points is going to be Tony Rucroft in an Aston Martin, both standing on 33 points, and not far behind is Toby Lewin in the Mercedes, who's only 2 points behind. Our top 3 separated by 2 points and the top 2 separated by 0 points. Then it's a bit bigger gap to Riley Pennell down in P4 in the BMW. He's 6 points behind, and then another 3 points to Wagle in the Mustang down in P5. So that's our top 5, and obviously you can see the other drivers there. If you are a supporter of any of them, definitely give them a shout in the chat. But we'll unfortunately only likely get round to reading that through practice. So if you want to get your support in, get it in quick, because we are probably not going to be looking at that through the rest of tonight's session. Then the next set of leaderboards is going to be the Pro-Ams. Now this is again a little bit of a shake-up. Roman Hosko in P1 at the moment. Brilliant race last week. Well, I should really be saying 2 races, but brilliant round last week. He is currently P1 with 50 points. Then it's a big gap down to Valentine, 38 points in P2. Mancha bring up the rear with 30 points. Then it's another 8-point gap to Simmons and the Mercedes, 22 points, and then 4 points between himself and Janssen in the other BMW as well. So maybe a slightly smaller class in the Pro-Ams, but definitely lots of action to look forward to there. Then finally, we have the Pro class. Now, of course, we do have Topinka up at the top where he's used to performing, with 52 points in the McLaren, and it's a massive gap down to Jordan in P2 in the BMW, 28 points, and then Peters just behind, 1 point behind with 27 points. Then it's Turner and Chard, 25 points and 24, so close battling there for P3 in the championship. Well, sorry, no scratch that, close battling for P2 in the championship. 4 of our top 5 drivers battling for one of those podium positions. But Topinka, meanwhile, he just stays ahead. And as we said, we've got other drivers in as well. You might know them. You'll definitely be seeing their names pop up on the leaderboard on the left-hand side of your screen in just a second. So definitely give them all a shout out, give them all support. They love they just love seeing that. They love feeling the love. So let's hop straight into the action. We've got an interview about halfway through with one of our Pro-Am drivers. So that should be interesting. Vanyos posts the fastest time of the race so far. Well, I'm sorry, it's been a rough week, alright? I only get about 6 hours of sleep a day. But, sorry, Levanios now, P1, one of our pro drivers. And it's great to see more liveries. Last week, a lot of liveries weren't working, so it's great to see some actually working liveries now. Levanios in a Mercedes-themed livery, even though he's driving a McLaren. McLaren use Mercedes engines in F1, don't they? So that's not too far off, but it's not quite what I was expecting. But I love it. It looks good. It's got the aqua, black and silver. I do quite like it. Maybe slightly simple from the front, but as it comes past, then you see the complexity. And yeah, I do quite like it. This is potentially one of my favourite McLaren liveries I've ever seen. It looks good. Meanwhile, Hosko takes P1. He was, of course, a sensation last race. And yes, we finally see that livery, a Repsol livery with the MotoGP style liveries. That's what I think when I see one of these. It's just, I can't remember his name. Sorry, it's brain fog time whenever it's commentary time, right? So yeah, orange, red, black and white. I do quite like it as well. Very professional, quite complex, so there is a lot going on. But yeah, it looks like something that is likely in real life. It's likely going to happen. It's likely going to be on a real life car. Then we have Valentine in the YouTube-themed McLaren. who last week was chasing Hosco all race. So it'll be interesting to see how he responds to Pinker in the Lamborghini. Takes P1, and it's nice to see his logo come up now. First thing that caught my eye was the HSR thing on the side, the HSR branding on the side of that pink, white and black Lamborghini. That looks good. Quite fast, complex, so yeah, somewhat, but also simple. So again, rate it. I quite like it. Then down in P5 we have Jackson in his usual pink and yellow livery for this season. Saw it for the first time last race. So looking good as always. We've got Lewin in his trademark orange and black Mercedes as well. And as I said, also one of my favourite liveries, Malott out on track. Not yet. Still stuck in the pit lane, and he seems to be running the rust bucket, as he calls it, a kind of brown Honda NSX, one of two, I believe, two on the grid last week at least, potentially more in the entire championship. We can see all the cars lined up, but yeah, this Honda, as he comes out now, we'll get a nice little view as he comes past. There it is, kind of inspired by rust, obviously, but also the that tiger shark mouth is what do I call it, tiger? Sorry, the shark mouth on the side of his car reminds me of the aircraft, the little slogans on the side and on the front. Yeah, that's all aviation related. So yeah, it's quite interesting to say the least. Quite interesting. It's all right. It's all right. Not my favourite. And unfortunately, similarly to Jackson at the Nordschleife for the season finale of season 3, it just blends into the background. This thing doesn't blend into the pavement, at least, but there is a lot of gravel around this circuit, and unfortunately it does blend in fairly nicely with that. So maybe on a dark, gloomy day with some rain, maybe it would have been slightly better, you know, easier to see, but at the same time, maybe not. I do apologise if there are things happening on the screen. These do seem to be having some technical issues tonight. Oh my goodness. Yeah, sorry, I'm trying to work on this, but I just saw that in the background. Malott going off. Let's have a look at Fox while we try and sort out these issues. Apologies, ladies and gents. We'll see if we can get this sorted as soon as possible. Please hang in there. and I am back. Unfortunately, one of my screens has suddenly decided, nope, I ain't taking any more. It's decided to just flee the scene, so we are stuck without a second monitor for a little while, but it's no biggie. So, currently a couple lap times on the board, top 10 drivers, and we do have 21 in the lobby at the moment. There's still potential for more to join, which will be good, because last week we had around 32, I think, so it would be nice to maybe have a little more. Last season we maxed out at 41, so if we can maybe try and beat that record, that would be brilliant this season. We're making progress on the technical issues. Have our interview slightly earlier than anticipated. With that, 1 second. Are back, hopefully indefinitely, or longer than temporarily, however you can say that. Anyways, now we can continue our little the livery walk, which will be nice. Marcy has just hit the wall, so that is unfortunate. We can't quite look at his livery. Aston Martin, black, grey, orange, giving me somewhat McLaren vibes. Looking good. I like it, very simple. Yeah, I'd probably run a 7, I'd say. Not my favourite, but it's alright, it's alright. Then Jordan, now in an old-time favourite classic black, white and red livery for HSR. Looking good on that BMW, makes it look a bit more sleek than the one of Fox just ahead. So yeah, I'd say again, very professional. Looks like it could be on a real car. So I'd say yeah, that's quite a nice one as well. And then let's have a little look down to Rebecci, one of our champions at HSR Motorsport, our Season 1 champion. He's ridden it around the track in his signature McLaren Mega Motorsport Italia livery. As usual, again, professional, used by an actual race team. Very good. Who else? Let's go down the grid. We've done Jackson, we've done Lewin. Has Pennell changed him? Yes, Pennell has changed out for, again, quite an iconic, really, at this point, red, white and black HSR livery. Again, some of our affiliates, some of our partners. We've got Bruty on there, he's got the Sim Grid on there, he's even got, if you look closely on the door, the HSR logo, the R is yellow rather than red, and that's because he is part of the Academy. So just that change in colour shows, yep, he's not part of, he's part of the race team, he's part of the Academy race team. If you missed the news on that, go check out last week's broadcast or just join the Discord and you'll find everything you need over there. Huben in his signature Nissan GTR livery as usual, also ripping it around at the moment. Schubert just jumped up the order, it's going to be nice to see him. Schubert changing it up now. Last week all we saw was a silver, red and black livery, but now we get to see the whole thing, red and blue. Reminds me of police lights, that's the first thing I think of when I see this car. But he's just got some nice branding on the side, a little bit of detail on the front, looking good. Again, quite a nice livery, and again, just really contrasting colours. Usually I'm not too hot on kind of stuff that contrasts too much, but this is alright. Then we do have Foxy as well, down in P10, at BMW we saw earlier. Dark, yellow rims, again, quite like it. It's like a spin on the, oh, and we get a really nice side profile there. You can see the HSR Motorsport there on the side of the car. Quite like how he's switched it around. He's gone from just being a regular BMW livery to bringing in the HSR Motorsport branding in there as well. I do quite like what he's done there. So now that we've seen a little more detail on the side, it is lovely. Warburton, meanwhile, jumps up to P10, one of our AM drivers. Nice to see his livery as well. He was one of the drivers that we were watching last week. It was just a plain black livery. Also swapped it out for an HSR Motorsport branded red, white and black livery. And you notice as well that logo on the front is proudly displaying as part of the Racing Academy. That yellow bar. So looking good. You'll see plenty of advertising for HSR as we should in a normal grid. Morris has jumped, we'll have a look at him later though. We do have Turner, currently P17 and a Pro. And he just can't get away from the normal colours, can he? Just straight up white, aqua or cyan, light blue, and black slash grey slash dark grey, something like Batman. Black or very, very dark grey. So yeah, you know, it's one of those liveries you just see him, no matter what car he's driving. You see that livery, you know who's behind you. So it is quite nice for me because then I can just instantly distinguish between them. I'm going to have trouble between those BMWs running all the same HSR Motorsport liveries. Then Conti, finally get a little deeper look at the livery. Light blue, white, and light blue. So looking good. Again, a little bit of complexity on the rear. And yeah, just generally, if you look at it quickly, it's not too, you know, it's not really too distracting. And then you look close, you can see the detail. I've just noticed actually Huben's in the background there with his GTR as well. We've got the nice GTR look in there. I do notice that Huben's car is slightly higher than Conti's, but that is most likely due to the jacks. Just the suspension, just the detail in the actual game being crazy as usual. Then we have had a look at Melot's Rust Bucket, P21 Janssen. Also finally have a look at his BMW livery. Yellow, white and black. Whoa, I do quite like the look of that. It's got a little crown on the top. What's that? Brown is that Lemper Select on the side. But I want to know what is on the top of that car. See the little crown on the side. It's on the tip of my tongue somewhere. But I just can't put a name to it. But it is looking very good. It stands out, yellow and black. You don't really see too many of those liveries around nowadays. Good to see him standing out. And again, some liveries just make these cars look chunky. So like Foxes, it just makes the BMW look like a massive brute. Makes it look like a bus. And then you get stuff like Janssen and who else was it again? It was Hosco. BMW Jordan, there we go. Jordan, they just managed to make the car look sleek and lower down. Not that chunky is bad, to be honest. I quite like it, because usually, you know, you get these smaller cars and the big BMW with his huge grille on the front looking down on the driver ahead. I don't mind the chunkiness. Then in P22 it's going to be Pfeiffer in his usual livery for this season. He didn't race much last season. It's nice to see him back now. And then finally, but definitely not least, is Van Lagen in livery that we did manage to see last week. Also again, simple RJB solutions. Red, white, black, typical colour for this season. It's a typical, what do I say? The typical colour code for the season. It's just like a uniform. That's what the colour code here is. But it's a recommendation. I don't even think it's a recommendation, to be honest. It's more just however you know. It's just that most people like to just go for red, white, and black. Anyways, we do have a couple of new names to look at. Norris currently in the pit in his usual Ferrari livery, and then we do have that McLaren in the foreground. And I do recognise that from last season, Mr. Craig Hewlett himself. And that reminds me, actually, we have an important announcement to make. We are, well, so I wouldn't say it's an important announcement, because I'm probably one of the only few people who know about it on the server. But basically, if you're watching on YouTube, would you be able to do us a favour and go check out the Twitch channel as well? Maybe go on there for a couple seconds, maybe give us a follow on there. We are streaming there as well. And at the moment it is only Twitch and YouTube, but there is something going on with Twitch that's getting slightly exciting. So if you could just go give us a follow there, go check out the action from there as well, even if it is just for a couple seconds, even just during practice, just to say hi or something, then please do. We do, of course, still love your attention here on YouTube as well, so don't stop that, just keep them coming. But at the same time, yeah, see if you can have a look over on the Twitch channel as well. Details for that is obviously in the HSR Motorsport Discord server. Any new names that might have slipped in? Simmons, I think, is one of them. Oh my goodness, the second one is really slow. Yeah, more technical issues, I apologise. But we can have a look at Simmons, who has just put it into the dirt. Simmons in the AMG. It's also nice, once again, to have another livery that has been uploaded correctly. I don't think we've seen any incorrectly uploaded yet. We do still have plenty of drivers to join. Pollard just joined the track as well. Let's follow him while we try and get these issues sorted out. White plain livery for the man currently nuts, because he joined last. So yeah, let's just 1 second. Once again, I do apologise for this, ladies and gents, but things aren't going well in the commentary box tonight. Give me 1 second. we go. Much better. Let me just see. Is there anything going wrong? No. Whew. Okay. So let's see what we can do. Right, so I believe that is most of our technical issues hopefully out of the way, and I believe it is time to begin our interview in just a second. But seems as though we do have our interviewee soon to join. There we go, finally. Woo! Almost had some more technical issues there, but finally we do have our interviewee, Mr. Roman Hosko, joined us in the commentary box. Welcome.
Thanks for having me.
No worries. Thank you for joining. Now, for those of our viewers who don't know, we'll just do a couple of fun questions, or quote unquote fun. You can make it however serious you want, really. But last season you were driving the Ferrari. What inspired the move to a BMW?
I mean, I can listen to advice from Mr. Topinka as we talked, and I struggled with Ferrari really badly to even keep it straight. And he advised me basically go BMW, and probably it was my best choice I could do. I was 2 seconds of his pace, and now I'm within 110 with 3 tenths in that lap left.
Wow, so that has definitely made a difference to
Yeah.
the pace.
And also we've been a lot of training together, so from his side there was a lot of help as well.
But I mean, it definitely showed at Zandvoort last week when you took both race wins for round one. Everyone's saying they need to drop you into the Pro class next.
I was already announced that next race I go to Pro class, but that was a little bit lucky because Valentine got 2 times puncture behind me.
Well, I mean, circumstances can change. Who knows? Maybe somehow pace. I hope it doesn't happen, but pace might drop off towards the end of the season or midway through the season. But we'll just.
To be fair,
I guess we'll have to see.
To be fair, I'm still getting used to the car, so I expect some low performances here and there.
But I mean, so far it's been absolutely stunning. Like you said, you're just really comfortable with the car now. So
The car is just, it goes where you want to go whenever you slam the brakes, so... And that little oversteer you have to worry about on exit, it's nothing compared to Ferrari.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, the BMW is almost the polar opposite when it comes to handling, isn't it? The Ferrari feels really nimble. The front end's really sticky, you lose the rears a lot. BMW handles like a brick, lots of understeer, quite heavy.
That's for sure, but it's a good car and it has the pace in it.
I mean,
It just requires different.
themselves.
Yeah, it just requires a different approach.
And then I mean setup as well can help with that. You know, obviously
That's for sure.
BMW can soften up the front, get more grip on the braking, stuff like that. So yeah, it's I guess
Very
it's just
indeed.
down to each individual driver. We were chatting to Peters last week, and he was saying he used to drive Ferrari as well. He swapped to BMW, and he absolutely hates it. So you know, it's not everyone's piece of cake.
Honestly, I was like a Peters when I jumped in BMW. I was shocked how heavy it is. I didn't feel like I'm driving GT car. It felt like a truck.
It is quite heavy. The first time I tried it as well, I'd been used to a McLaren, and yeah, suddenly I find this BMW just won't turn in, and it won't, you know, on the exit it just goes in a straight line. So yeah, completely sympathise with the feedback from the BMW drivers at the moment.
Yeah, pretty much like that.
Yeah. So let's chat a bit about stats. Last season, you only managed a single podium. How do you think you did last season on terms of your performance?
In terms of my performance, considering how comfy I was, or shall I say uncomfy with the car, I think it was actually better than I expect. Every race that I finished, it felt like actually a victory, so...
Yeah. So even still in that Ferrari that was slightly slidey, felt good. But I mean, what then are your expectations for this season? I mean, obviously you've had 2 race wins under the belt already. We're only into round 2 now, and you're just up at the top of the leaderboard. What are your expectations for this season?
Hopefully I just keep the pace, and once I'll be moved to Pro I can change topping car. We need some little change finally.
Yeah, that'll be good to see, because yeah, we've got three GT3 champions in this season. We've got Topinka, we've got Rebecci, we've got who else was that? Last season's champion was Peters. The brain fog this time of night. So yeah, I mean, it'd be great to see another contender up there.
For sure, and also battling with Topinka is very enjoyable. It's very clean driver, leaves you always room. You know what to expect from him, you know when he go for a move, when not. No
Yeah.
silly random moves.
Yeah, it is quite unfortunate really that we see most of the action down in the mid pack and the low pack. I mean, it's brilliant to see them racing obviously, and just seeing, you know, the ridiculous moves they might pull off. But yeah, it's not the same as racing up at the top. But
That's for sure,
we
but
don't quite have that close kind of racing yet.
on the other hand, being in mid-pack is fairly good if you want to racing, but sometimes it's a race survival game.
Yeah, and I guess it also just varies from track to track. Obviously, Zandvoort is not the best place for epic battles. Imola,
Near Imola here.
yeah, Imola also not too great, but it's a great track to drive though. And I mean, considering that, how confident are you racing at Imola?
Actually, not that well. I'm struggling across Aqua Minerale because car feels really weird there. Kinda like it wants to spawn on me, but then I realize I'm having understeer. So therefore I could do better lap time wise, but it is what it is. Let's see how the race will be.
Yeah. You know, the performance will vary sometimes within the space of an hour. So
Definitely.
that is quite possible. Yeah.
Also, track limits will play a key part, and it's so easy to make mistakes around these sausage curbs that set you instantly off.
Absolutely, especially I think turns 14 and 15, that final chicane before you hit the downhill braking section into Ravaza. That's usually quite a hot spot for spins and track limit violations on the exit.
For me, it was actually turn 4 where I was basically doing wheelie with BMW over the sausage curbs until I found my lane. So.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I guess different drivers have different kind of hot spots around the track that they're uncomfortable with. So, yeah, we'll just have to kind of watch and see.
That's for sure.
And so then kind of looking overall in terms of race strategy, what do you think is going to be the key to winning at Imola?
Keep it consistent, clean, no track limits, No silly mistakes that can cause you race here because gravel is everywhere. Very little run out area. Also pit stop can play its part entirely.
Yeah, yeah,
But most of the action will be probably lap 1 and main straight.
yeah, yeah. It is quite a long straight, and it was actually quite ironic. I was doing commentary for an F1 online esports race, and we were at Imola just yesterday. So I've had 24 hours to memorise this track all over again. So yeah, we definitely saw loads of action on the pit straight. We actually had a bit of side-by-side action through turns 4, 5, and 6, and then around the outside of turn 7. So potentially action there as well, side by side through Aqua Minerale.
That's for sure. I've done some open wheeler myself, and Imola in open wheelers and GT is not the same track.
Yeah, yeah. And of course, they handle differently, take different lines. So yeah, it's all sorts of things that can happen.
That's for sure.
But anyways, yeah, that's all I've got prepared for the interview. It wasn't long, and yeah, we'll let you get back to maybe a minute and a half of practice before quali hits. Good luck, sir.
Yeah, thank you. Bye.
That was Roman Hosko, one of our Pro-Am drivers, who, as we heard previously, did not like the Ferrari. He struggled with Ferrari, but now he's finally found some pace with that BMW. I do have to say that unfortunately the technical issues are plaguing us once again. And I am not making means because of it, so we shall see if we can do anything about that. Cool, and now hopefully those issues won't plague us as we hit the end of practice now. Qualifying starting in just a couple moments. And we were just following Novell there. I believe one of our newer drivers. It's nice to see another Porsche other than Dutton out on track, and he's also running a yellow and black livery, so looking good, looking good. Any other joins? We do have Taylor, we have Manship as well. Manship in the pits, he's running, ooh, a Williams livery from, well, sorry, I know the Williams livery was inspired by something else anyways. And anyways, we head into the qualifying session. Give us just a moment to get the screen back on, and we'll hit you with some qualifying racing. We're just qualifying. See you in a sec. So there we go. Hopefully no technical issues during qualifying. We have 20 minutes of action now as drivers try and put in their fastest laps to set up the grid for the race, our 60-minute race. First 10 minutes is for Pro-Ams and AMs only. Final 10 minutes are for the pros. So that just means there's a little more space for the people who actually need it. And yeah, then all the AMs and Pro-Ams can fight it out on track for whoever gets position. It's not usually too bad. We do still get some incidents of, yeah, just nasty kind of occurrences, really. Car number 11 is going to be the first one to cross the line and start our qualifying. That is going to be Pennell or Pennell. I'm still not sure, actually. I need to ask Riley how I should pronounce that, because yeah, it's all, you know, it's nice to actually have someone pronounce it correctly. Just checked the live chat. Peters is watching, showing support for Huben. That is brilliant, and also thanks to the guys over on the Twitch side of things who have come to check it out. Appreciate that. So let's hit the action. Riley ripping it round, first driver to set a lap time this race. One of our AM drivers who last race was kind of, he had an up and down session, I would say. First race, wrecked a couple of times and was just left in the pit at the end. And then second race, he was actually, it looked like Lightning McQueen really, the way he was dodging that massive crash we had right at the start of the second race, in which about 10 cars or so wiped out, and he just dodged them all. Like Lightning McQueen, the only thing he needed was this livery. He was running a green livery, very similar to Verbru's livery last season actually. It was giving me Verbru vibes. But anyways, he is back now again, ready to perform. So coming into turns 14 and 15 now, over those sausage curbs, as we heard earlier. Slippery on the throttle. Be careful of track limits on the exit. So let's go on board for a little track tour as he comes across the line to set his first lap, and then on his second lap of the track tour. Coming live from Riley's bonnet as he comes across the line now. What is the lap time going to be? Is it 44.590? So obviously that time will drop all the time. But yes, let's continue down the straight now, coming into the braking zone for turns 2 and 3. Somewhat chicane-y kind of approach. You get on the curb quite a lot through turn 4. If you get your turn in right on the BMW, then you won't be careening straight into the wall. Straight braking into turns 5 and 6, very similar to the previous two corners, but you do have a little exit curb to use before you line it up for turn 7. Not quite a hairpin, but there is a little bit of camber that you can use. Throttle nice and early, again loads of curb you can use. As we head from Moscow, plenty of track limits that can be gained as well. Up the hill through turn 8, then into Piratella, turns 9 and 10. Again, quite interesting. It feels almost off camber, but it isn't. It's only turn 10, and that's slightly weird. Around through the left, downhill, then into Aqua Minerali, famous couple of corners, turns 11, 12 and 13. Plenty of opportunity there for some drive-through penalties, eh? Then down the straight into turns 14 and 15, the final chicane. Again, just watch those curbs. Careful, because they are sausages, so if you hit them wrong, it will spin you out. And of course, on the exit, just check the track limits, don't spin out. Through turn 16, long left-hander. Get your entry and your exit right for turn 17, so you've got a nice straight braking zone. Into Ravasa, turns 18 and 19, get it stopped. Then through the final corner, turn 19. Hit the curb again, be aware of the gravel, then come through the final couple right-handers, and that is an end to the quali lap. As Riley comes across the line again, but unfortunately does not improve. So at the moment then, Hosco currently P1 for 142.02, Simmons, then Puller in the Pro-Am class, P2 and P3 in their classes respectively. There's Warburton going past now. Pennell hits the pits. Pfeiffer, meanwhile, takes the AM class provisional pole with a 1:43.2. Warburton not far behind on the Mercedes. Not far at all, 300ths between the two. But Simmons, meanwhile, is going for overall pole at this point, which is going to be Pro-Am provisional pole ultimately. He is 7/10ths off. So 1:42.770 for Simmons, and then P3 is Pollard a little further down in P6. We haven't really seen too much from Pollard this season. Conti takes P3 for the AM class. Novell in the Porsche takes P3 away from Puller in the Pro-Am class. Pennell in that Porsche again. We've got a lot of L's. I'm going to go with the L. No, Novell, not Neville. We're going to go Novell, and we'll go Pennell as well. Not Pennell. I assume this driver is British because he's got a lot of Union Jacks on the tail of his car. 3 minutes left in qualifying for these two classes. You do see a BMW up ahead going slightly off. That does look like Pennell. Now. So Moscow and Simmons both heading to the pits. Novell, P3 in the Pro-Am class, 5 for Warburton, and Conti at top 3 for the AM class. And the BMW going into the grass. Good awareness there, just to let the faster cars by. Of course, during qualifying you can't allow cars, sorry, no, you can't allow, but cars are not allowed to overtake, and if they do, yes, stewards will have a look at it. The only reason you can overtake is if the driver ahead allows you through, or of course it's the cause of a yellow flag, i.e. he's in the wall, stuff like that. Janssen now currently challenging Novell for P3 in the class. Janssen now P3 in the Pro-Am class in the BMW, 1.795 seconds. I don't believe we saw Janssen's livery. Yes, we did. It was that yellow BMW. So Novell across the line, can't improve, is off by 4/10ths. It's still going to be 5 for Warburton and Conti for the AM class at the moment. Moscow, meanwhile, has headed back out onto the track, ready to set an even faster lap time now. Looking at the Novell sector times, he does seem to be struggling slightly. Pfeiffer looks to be on the improvement potential there. Conti as well, so keeping an eye on Van Lagen, who has made an improvement in the last sector or so. We've only got a minute left, so last couple of laps from our AMs and Pro-Ams before the pros hit the track. Section. Van Lagen has had some pretty good times. There's Novell in the background going off. Is there potential for Van Lagen, currently P4 in the AM class, to make progress up the grid? Manship just improves to P5 in his class. Currently P7 overall in that McLaren. Here's Van Lagen though, coming around the final corner. Turn 20 and then turn 21 across the line. Is it an improvement for the man in the Mustang? Yes it is, by quite a margin. Now P3 in his class for the man in the red, black and white Mustang. Loses it just towards the end. Taylor suddenly jumps up as well in the McLaren, that yellow and red McLaren. Also forgot to mention that he is currently streaming his POV. If you are interested to see what it looks like from a driver's perspective, he is streaming currently. If you are in the Discord group chat, then you'll be able to DM him somehow. And looks like Valentine has decided to get involved in this battle for P3 in the Pro-Am class. Valentine now taking P3, which overall is P4, again in that red and black McLaren, and he is still in a valid lap time. He is still going to set one final lap before he comes off. Through that final chicane, tap on the brakes maybe to get a little more rotation. He is on the improvement, down into Ravazza now. How will he do? Is there potential for a P2 start? Is there potential for a pole? He is one of the final Pro-Ams to cross the line. Taylor and Novell yet to cross and finish their laps. Cross the line then. Valentine crosses the line and he takes P2 by just about 3/10 away from Simmons. So it's Hosco, then Valentine, then Simmons. Taylor and Novell both cross the line to end their qualifying, and the pros now hit the track. Jordan in the BMW out there at the moment. All the pros are out there, and Topeka will be one to watch, of course. He is our usual pole sitter overall and for his class. And just noticed also he's got yellow wingtips rather than usual either black or things that are nice to go with pink, white, black. But I like it. It just spices it up. Meanwhile, I just looked at the standings. Warburton suddenly in the Mercedes takes P2 in the AM class. So right at the end, in the AM class then, it's Pfeiffer, then Warburton, then Van Lagen. Right at the top of your screens there. 5, 6 and 7. That is our top 3 AM drivers. And then for our Pro-Am, it's Hosco, Valentine and Simmons. Some familiar names on the podium indeed. But now it is Hosco coming through the right-handers of Aqua Minerale up the hill, then into turns 14 and 15 to start his qualifying lap. 7 minutes left in quali, and time flies very quickly if you've only got 10 minutes to do a quali lap, and there are maybe 10, 15, 20 other drivers on the track. Suspect car 4, so Greg Hewlett will be the first to set a valid lap time. Potentially car 13 actually. He's way ahead. So Topeka now comes across the line. Let's have a look from his POV. Topeka actually, sorry, that was a flying lap. So yeah, Topeka takes pole, 141.7, and as we heard from Bosco, he's only about a 10th off of Topeka. They train together. Lamborghini and BMW driver Rebecci takes P3, Morris P4 overall. Plus, it's Topeka, then Rebecci, then Morris for the pros. Turner taking P6, P4 for his class. Massey crosses the line in P9 overall, P5 for his class. In the Aston Martin, we saw Massey in the black, grey and orange liveried Aston Martin earlier. Schubert also decides to come into the top 10. Schubert now P6. Aqua Minerale ready to set yet another lap time, but according to the timing sheets he hasn't validated this lap, so it won't really make a difference. But it's interesting now seeing 2 HSR Motorsport GT3 season champions up there in the top 3, Topeka and Rebecci. Now all we need is Peters, who is nowhere to be seen tonight, not racing tonight, but we have seen him on the stream chat as well. No doubt be giving some great love and what do you say? Support. We've already said support. Different synonyms. That's the tricky part of doing this job. You need to be able to be good there. You need to be good with words, and I clearly am not at the moment. Anyways, Morris takes P4, Turner takes P5, Hewlett takes P6 overall. Hosco still manages to be that lone Pro-Am up there in the top 3, currently P1. Thanks to everyone currently in the Twitch chat as well. Do appreciate you guys. Of course, it is up to you whether you prefer watching it from switch off from YouTube. But still following Topinka then. 4 minutes left in quali. There is still a little bit of work that can be done. Topinka with a 141.7. He is improving on his times as he comes into sector 3 now. Through Aqua Minerale. Again, that famous corner. And yes, I do apologise. We have been following him for a very long time. But yeah, qualifying when there are about 15, 20 cars can be a bit challenging at times. Rebecci still P2, Morris P3 in the class, Turner P4, Schubert P5, Hewlett suddenly decides to join that 6-car train in the top 10. That is so rudely interrupted by Hosko in P2. And as we heard, he'll be moving up to pros, and I think that is a good idea considering his times. Actually, Hewlett now suddenly takes pole position. Topinka coming across the line. How does he respond? Topinka sets a new time as well. So Hosko now down to almost half a second off Topinka's time. Hewlett just 2/10 short of taking pole from Topinka. Rebecci also posts a faster lap time. Now, of course, this then is going to be a response drive from Hewlett, trying to improve on that lap. It was pipped by Topinka. We do have a yellow somewhere. That is going to be Topinka just on the entry of turn 7. So Topinka might only get one more lap out before the end of quali. There is hope for Hewlett and Rebecci. Hewlett needs to improve by 2/10 to take pole coming into sector 3. He's only got a third of a lap left to improve. Let's see how this goes. Rebecci has to improve by almost a half second in order to take pole. But he doesn't have that gap to Hewlett though. That is the gap to Topinka. He only needs to improve by about 2/10 himself in order to improve his position up to P2. Meanwhile, further down, Marcy, Schubert, Jordan, Lavagnos, Morris and Turner are all very closely matched in the pro class. As Hewlett now comes through turn 19, has he improved? Does he take pole position away from Topinka? Turn 21, cross the line, and he improves his time, but not nearly enough in order to take pole position, and that does seem to be his qualifying run over. Rebecci currently ripping it round Ravazza as well, also going to come across the line. Does he improve? Does he manage to take P2? Does he manage to take P1? No, he doesn't. Unfortunately, Rebecci 3/10 off Topinka. There's Rebecci in P3, but he does seem to be going for yet another lap. No, he isn't. He pulls off into the grass. So, the next driver to follow will be Turner in the trademark BMW livery. Oh my goodness, and looks like the steering just locked. It just turned right, and he's into the wall on the exits of turn 5 and 6. So that is disappointing for Turner, but it is the end of qualifying, pretty much only 30 seconds left. Marcy invalidated lap time, Schubert invalidated lap time, Jordan invalidated lap time, Morris pretty much the only driver on a valid lap time. Coming through the second set of chicane type corners, turn 5 and 6 through Villeneuve, then up the hill to Piratella. He is improving on his best lap, so there could be potential for him moving up the grid. We did see some great things from him in Season 2 and Season 3 as well. Unfortunately, Season 4 has not been too great to him so far, but it's no surprise really when we consider we do have Topinka and Rebecci and Peters all in the same season, as well as a couple other new drivers who are very quick, and the same old drivers who are also very, very quick. So Morris now through Gressini, just the downhill left before he hits Ravazza, the final couple corners. Where does Morris come out? Does he improve on his time? Does he improve on his grid position? Let's find out through the penultimate corner, turn 19. Then it's going to be the final two right-handers. Where is Morris going to come out? Ferrari driver improves by, unfortunately, not too much. Only up to P9. The final driver, P22, Jordan, coming around through Ravazza now. Turns 18 and 19 again. How does he fare? Cross the line. And Jordan finishes P5. So not too shabby from him. Actually P4 in his class, P5 overall. So that is the end of qualifying. Now it is time for the race. Yes, that transition was not as smooth as I'd been hoping, but anyways, it is time to hit the race now. So join us in just a couple seconds while we get the stuff ready, and we'll be ready to take you through a tiny grid walk. Not a big thing, unfortunately, as we don't really have too much time. But yes, grab your popcorn, refill your drinks, get ready for an hour of intense racing action. See you in just a couple moments. And we are back for yet another race. Round 2 for the Season 4 Championship is about to begin. And yes, we do actually have a cool grid walk lined up. So yes, there we go. We do have control of the drone. So P1 will be Topinka on the right hand side of your screen. Hewlett starting P2 just alongside. Then we have Robecci P3, that McLaren, that red McLaren. Hosco starting P1 for the Pro-Am class. Then we have a couple pros, Jordan, then Turner, then Lavagnos, then Massey, then Schubert, and then Morris. Finally, we've got Valentine and Simmons finishing the top 3 for the Pro-Am class. Then we start hitting the AMs. So Pfeiffer on the right-hand side in the Ferrari Warburton, P2, Van Lagen, P3. Then we have the lone pro driver of Jackson on the left. Sorry. Pro driver Jackson on the left-hand side in the Ferrari. Lewin, right-hand side. Novell, then Janssen, then Taylor, then Manship, Conti, Fox, Pinell, Huben. I think that might be Fox actually. Sorry. And then Malott bringing up the rear. So there we go. That is our small little grid walk. It's fun having this little drone to fly around. Please do excuse the hacking and the coughing. But yeah, now it's time to hit the racetrack and actually follow these guys, not in a drone. So Topinka right at the front obviously going to start off the race in P1 overall and for the Pro class. Of course, unfortunately, we didn't get to see too many replays during qualifying due to the technical issues and just the general kind of, I don't know, vibes of the quali, but we'll maybe get round to some more during the race. Of course, we do have plenty of action to go through, and it looks like Hewlett is starting from the pit lane, so he did not get his ignition started at the right time. So unfortunately, oh man, Hewlett, come on. We saw too much of that in Season 2. He was performing so well during qualifying, and then there would just, something would happen during the formation lap or just before he needs to turn on his engine, and then, yeah, he would have to start from the pit lane all the time. I hope that's not happening again this season. Toilet breaks are meant to happen during the 10 minutes that you are not qualifying, not just before we start a race. I do remember that is one instance we had. But anyways, Topinka then starting, then it will be Rebecci P2 and Jordan P3, so all the pro drivers have essentially been promoted a position, other than of course Greg Hewlett, who's dropped down the entire grid. Last couple of corners now into the final chicane before we hit the downhill into turns 18 and 19 for Avaza, where they will then assume a well, 2 rows. I don't know why I was about to say 2 rests. I'm terrible at naming this stuff. All I know is at the moment they're in single file, but they all have to form up in 2 rows, just as they were on the starting grid, ready to take on round 2 of the Season 4 Championship. Now, of course, there will be that gap left by Hewlett. And if you want some kind of reference as to which positions start where, odd positions will be starting on the right-hand side of the track, i.e. the inside of Turn 2, and the even positions will be starting on the outside of Turn 2. So essentially, all the odd drivers will have it easier when it comes to defending. But now, they line up for the start on the pit straight, ready to start race 2 of the Season 4 Championship. Green flag waves at Imola. We do have a drive-through for Conti down at P21. Topinka's had an alright start. Further back, Rebecci now under threat from Hosko in the back, and there seems to be a huge crash in the background. Not sure who that is. Rebecci gets through safely. Hosko drops down a position on Jordan, who sneaks through in the other BMW. 27 cars through somewhat safely. Looks like, yes, there is very little going on in the background. No, there is a lot. There's Lewin facing the wrong direction, a couple cars coming past. Simmons also involved. We'll have a look at that incident a little later on. Simmons now making a move on Pinnell down in P24, and that has not gone well for a couple of drivers right at the back of the class. Oh my goodness, there's a move from Simmons now on Pinnell down the inside of turn 7. Doesn't get it done. Looks like it. We can see some other drivers in the foreground. They're still side by side though. Coming into turns 8 and 9, Pinnell around the outside. How will the Mercedes do? Down into the braking. Enough space left by the AM driver for the Pro AM driver. They're still side by side coming into Aqua Minerali now. Riley, of course, does have that inside line, but no, the Mercedes, the later braking just gets there, just about keeps it out of the back of the rust bucket just ahead. But interestingly enough, Rebecci is putting Topinka under pressure. We haven't seen this pretty much ever. Rebecci now a move down the inside into Ravaza, not quite. Jordan is not far behind. Hosko also not too far behind. There's about 0.1 seconds between Topinka and Rebecci as they came through that corner. Now at the end of lap 1, not too many things going on. Greg Hewlett, of course, that lone number 4 car that you can see on the track map trying to go round. Looks like a move from Jordan potentially into turn 2. He's got the slipstream from the McLaren, goes around the outside. Rebecci is defending that position. They're not quite side by side, and Rebecci did a good job of it. But on the exit, that BMW has got some power around the outside of turn 4 into the gravel slightly. But unfortunately, that meant he has to drop back in behind the McLaren, and now he is under pressure from Hosco as well. A little further back though, I'm seeing Turner and Marcy also having a little battle. Vanios potentially also having a close battle with Schubert. There is a little bit of a gap between Schubert and the BMW of Turner, and then the Aston Martin of Marcy just ahead. In the background we can also see Valentine. There's a slightly bigger gap, 0.3, 0.2 seconds. It looks like Rebecci has unfortunately fallen back from Topinka slightly. That is because he is under the pressure of Jordan now. It's only 0.4 seconds as they head through Aqua Minerale. Once again, half a second to Hosco as well. And Hosco's doing well. He's managed to keep a clean race start. There is Turner having to go on the defensive from Marcy in the Aston Martin behind. You can see just how much they're sliding on the exit there. Looks like he's had a good exit, and he is slightly ahead of Marcy. 0.4 seconds. Could we see some moves down into turn 2 with the slipstream? Depends on the exit. It really, really does. Slightly close moves. Morris down in P16. Right up at the back of Novell. Also coming through Ravaza now. And there's just been a change of position between Verlagen and Simmons for P18. Two different classes. This is going to be an easy move for Morris. He's got the slipstream. Goes down the inside early for turn 2. And he's probably passed by the time they hit the braking zone. Not quite yet. He does have his nose ahead though. So he has essentially claimed that corner, and he is just ahead by the time they hit that right-hander. Turner now right up on the back of Hosco. That pro driver wants to put some pressure on the Pro-Am driver just so he can let him through. Technically they are in two different classes. So you know, it's down to Hosco whether he wants to let Turner through or not. But Turner, obviously, he wants to start challenging for the podium positions. He just wants to be there just in case. Hosco now 0.2 seconds up behind Jordan. Hosco putting pressure on Jordan ahead. Now it's not going to be racing for overall podium positions for Hosco. Yes, it could be, but also he just wants that extra driver behind him. Just that extra pro, just to keep him away from Valentine, who is, to be fair, already 4 pro drivers down the line. So there is still quite a big gap there. Morris is making some good progress on Fox. Actually, no, sorry, this is Fox and Simmons now. Simmons in the Mercedes having a look down the inside of Fox into turn 14, into the chicane, bouncing over the sausage curves, but he gets it stopped just in time. An entertaining overtake by the man in that black Mercedes. Good performance from him down in P17 now. Great overtake there. Then we do have some more action between Huben and Pfeiffer now. Also coming into Ravaza, turn 18. Schubert in the Ferrari behind, Huben in the Nissan ahead. Now, of course, we do have that long straight, and we do see Manship and Morris battling it out for P18 just ahead. Manship in the McLaren. This could potentially develop into a 4-way battle. Pfeiffer having a look. He's just keeping Huben on his toes. Going around the outside. Oh my goodness, Van Lagen's there though, so he can't quite go for the outside line. Good reaction speed from the Ferrari. That does mean he has got a slightly slower exit out of that corner. So Van Lagen, unfortunately, a back marker. But meanwhile, just up ahead, Morris is looking to make some good progress up the field. He has dropped quite significantly. Now he's having to deal with a Pro-Am driver. And it is the unfortunate story for some drivers. They just get so caught up in the lower classes that they just can't end up making any good progress up the field to eventually challenge for higher positions in their own class. So there we go, Simmons down the inside of turn 9. Looked like Manship was just given the position back. Good awareness there. Great change of positions. Meanwhile, Fox is under pressure from Taylor now on the exit of turn 12 now into turn 13, 14 and 15. that is Taylor ahead by the time they hit the chicane. You can see Simmons just in the background there. He's also going to be making progress on Fox at some point in the future. So Taylor just was nearer entry, I think, on the exit of Aqua Minerale. We do have some close racing. Again, interclass racing. Schubert in the Ferrari ahead, then Warburton in the Mercedes, and then Muller in the BMW. These three cars, half a second between them. Another interesting battle to keep an eye on is going to be Pfeiffer and Huben down in P20. They are fighting for P2 in the class. Huben currently P2, Pfeiffer P3. So they are fighting for the last couple of podium places. Warburton, who we are currently following, is the AM class leader. So he is way up there, right up at the top, driving with the pros and the pro-ams. There doesn't seem to be much going on here, but to be fair, there isn't much of a difference in the gap between Pfeiffer and Huben down in P21. There does now, though. Huben's had a rough exit out of turn 7, and Pfeiffer needs to take some sort of action. He's now got the inside line into turn 8, almost a switcheroo there. Huben just making Pfeiffer think for a second that he was going to dive down the inside, but it didn't work. That is Pfeiffer up into P2 for his class. I am astounded at the gaps up at the top. They are still within a second and 2 seconds. There does seem to be a battle developing between Schubert and Jackson now. Jackson having, I guess, a normal start, but Schubert maybe dropping down the grid slightly. Two Ferraris battling it out now. Schubert in the blue and red Ferrari behind Jackson, in the purple and yellow Ferrari just ahead. Schubert will of course have the slipstream now, down into turn 2. How does he fare? Where will Jackson go? Is he going to defend? Is he going to just go around the outside? Jackson defending, making Schubert go the long way around. And there we go, good defense from the purple Ferrari. Put his car right in the middle of the track, but of course, Schubert might still have a run at him into turn 5 and 6. Let's see what this looks like from his POV. Just braking slightly, a little faster entry from Jackson. He does seem to be slightly onto the gravel now. Into turn 7, he does have a little more momentum, but it's still to no avail. You can see the amount of camber there as well. It's better noticed from the actual car than it is from the broadcast. But that then was a little tense exchange between Jackson and Schubert. Unfortunately, nothing came of it for Schubert. Of course, there is still plenty of time in the race. We still have 50 minutes to go, and it has already calmed down. So yeah, I could foresee us hanging on to almost every replay. But what is going to be interesting is Rebecci, half a second off Topinka. And this is quite rare. The smallest gap I think we've had to Topinka in a race finish ever was about 3 or 4 seconds, and that was last race at Zandvoort round 2. Peters just is managing to keep up with Topinka, but now it's Rebecci 0.4 seconds. So if we see this McLaren get ahead of the Lambo, oh my goodness, imagine the amount of celebrations in the VC tonight. It's nothing against Topinka, he's just been that guy that is unbeatable. Rebecci now though, 0.2 seconds. He does have the exit. Is this potentially a move into turn 5? Not quite. He's making him think though. He's putting Topinka under pressure, and Topinka does not really know how that pressure feels here at HSR Motorsport, the pressure from these drivers. There it is, a lunge down into turn 7, but he just pulls out at the last second. A wise decision. He's got that gap closed up to Topinka now. So potentially what he needs to do is just get back to within 0.2 seconds through Ravazza, and then he can get the move done into turn 2. Here's a tight battle between Schubert and Jackson still. They're still not done fighting. Jackson again putting up a good defense on the inside of turn 7. So Schubert is just, I can imagine he's getting really frustrated behind that purple Ferrari now. And they're both still pushing the limits there. You can see Jackson just within track limits. 0.2 seconds separating these two now. Coming through Aqua Minerale. It's been a good exit for Schubert though. Jackson going on the defensive really early. He's gone for a really tight line. He's forcing Schubert to go the long way around all the time. So at the moment, Jackson is just holding up that blue and red Ferrari. Coming through the exit though, it is smoother for Schumann, but ultimately it's just higher speed on the exit for the man in the purple Ferrari just ahead. It's Ravazza. I was wondering about a move there, but ultimately nothing comes of it. Great racing down in the mid-pack, but also right at the top. There is, of course, a trio now battling for P14 overall. Novell in that yellow Porsche ahead. Then it's the Mercedes of Simmons behind, and Morris in the Ferrari as well. We've seen some moves from Morris and from Simmons as well. Simmons now looking for a position in the Pro-Am class. They are using that slipstream to the uttermost amount. There is Simmons down the inside into turn 2. Does he get it done? There's a little bit of contact there. Morris veering off into the grass, now into the gravel, just so he doesn't hit Simmons. And that is a lot of things happening all at once. Taylor slips past Simmons now. Taylor getting involved in that battle. Now down the inside into turn 5. He's making Novell think, but Novell doesn't really fall for it. But that is his line scuppered. And that is Taylor now with a good exit, potentially. No, he gets caught up on the exit of turn 6. So then, that was Simmons getting through on the inside of Novell into turn 2. A little bit of rubbing. Then Morris had to take some evasive action, just so he doesn't end up rear-ending the cars ahead. And then Taylor just says, hi, I'll take that position away as well. So a good four-way battle there, but unfortunately it has been another one of those battles. Oh my goodness, Morris right up on the back of Taylor. The two yellow cars now, Taylor going down the inside. Novell trying to squeeze him coming into turn 14 on the defensive. Ultimately, what can he do? He can do nothing, but Taylor's gone wide on the exit, and that is Novell being hit in the rear by Morris. A disappointing sequence of events for that Porsche driver. So both Taylor and Morris have now got past the yellow Porsche. That is again just an unfortunate sequence of events for the driver down in P15 at the moment. But here we are, back up again at the top. There's the move from Robetti down the inside into Pinker. Now he's back around the outside. They have contact. Now Jordan's getting involved. A three-way battle for the race lead. We have waited so long for this. Turn 7. Robetti back around the outside now in turn 7. Jordan potentially down the inside. On the exit, who was the better run? Four-way battle now for the race lead. And is this finally the time for Topinka to be overtaken by someone on fair ground? Now down the inside, they're side by side coming through. Piratella, Jordan now down the inside of Robetti. He's trying to get involved as well, trying to have a go at Topinka. Topinka going on the defensive, and Jordan's got past that red McLaren. Oh my goodness, I'm running out of oxygen. This is just intense. We've got Marcy just behind as well on the exit of turn 13 now into the chicane. There's a little look from Robetti making Jordan think. At the moment, they can't afford this. They just need to get past Topinka. Jordan now also only 0.1 seconds off Topinka. Topinka now going defensive over on the left-hand side of the track. Jordan going round the outside into Ravazza. Oh my goodness, and that's a dive from Robetti and oh my God. I cannot believe it. What a wasted opportunity. So now Topinka now 2.5 seconds ahead of the competition. Robetti took out Jordan. So now that opportunity is over. Marcy and Hosko now side by side. They're about to overtake Robetti as well for P2. Hosko saying, I need space, oh my goodness. And he just keeps it out the wall. Wow, that was a tense exchange. Marcy trying to go around the outside of Hosko into turn 2. Hosko said, I need space. Proceeds to bang into him. They both lose some time. Turner now under pressure from Avanios down at P5. This is for position. He's hit the gravel though, and that is Avanios pass before they even hit the braking zone for turn 7. So lots of overtaking action now up at the top of the pack. Great to see some action up here. Now about 3 seconds between Topinka and Robetti. We have seen Robetti's pace today though, so as long as his damage isn't too bad, we could potentially still see some battles right up at the top again. Turner still 0.3 seconds between himself and Lavanius has not quite let that driver go yet. 2 coming into the chicane. No moves under braking though. So through that whole exchange, Hosco now within 3 positions of Valentine again, his main rival in race 1 and 2 of round 1. 0.2 seconds between Marcy and Rebecci. Marcy's just gone slow into Ravazza, Hosco just behind. And the gap does seem to still be falling to Topinka. So Rebecci he seems to be bringing his A game tonight. Rebecci about to show Topinka why he was season 1 champion. All we needed was Peters now and we would have a 3-way battle of 3 champions. Marcy now within half a second of Hosco. That BMW in the back, ready to strike again. Jackson and Schubert once again battling. Jackson going for an overtake down the inside of 10-2. This side by side. Jackson doesn't quite have his nose down past him yet. They are virtually side by side coming into 10-2. They do touch, but there is generally a respect for space, and Schubert just ends up giving the position back to Jackson. And in that moment as well, Warburton decides to get involved. Now Schubert's on the defensive from that Mercedes 2. So in that touch, that's brought him within attacking range of Warburton in that red Mercedes just behind. So a couple 10 seconds there. Tense, not 10 seconds. Simmons now into the pits. We do of course have that to contend with. We do have all the pit stops that will be happening at some point, so that might be our small commercial break that we might use for checking the replay. Woo! Now it's time to just relax, get chill, keep an eye on the gap between Rebecci and Topinka, which has closed down to 2.2 seconds already. So I'm getting excited. I'm getting excited. So we could potentially see some actual race action for the overall race lead here. More further down though, it is still about half a second between Jackson, Schubert and Warburton. That trio we are following now. 2.6 seconds between Malott and Huben. Malott potentially with an overtake at some point. Almost had me thinking he'd be doing a move down the inside of Ahmed Rally there. But he's a little too far for that at the moment. This is Huben and Malott down in P19 and P20. Second, 0.3 seconds between Turner and Valentine, and 0.4, 0.3 seconds between Jackson and Schubert, 2 very closely matched drivers, and this is almost exactly where we left off the action a little bit earlier as well. So Jackson and Schubert are very, very closely matched this race. Those 2 drivers both fighting for P8 in the class at the moment. So we do have the pro drivers turning out in force today. Schubert only 0.2 seconds coming into turn 7. It is close racing between these 2. Warburton, of course, is just waiting for a mistake. He just wants to put these pro drivers behind him as an extra buffer to Pfeiffer now down at P16. Now, of course, that is a massive gap down to P16, so I don't see why he would need to do it. If he can just stay safe and just keep racing clean, then he'll be fine. Morris just jumped down quickly. He's about to make an overtake on Puller at some point. I have to say, Morris is unfortunately one of those drivers where it's really unpredictable. Down the inside into turn 14 now. He's side by side into the braking zone, and he's just later on the brakes. Pro overtaking the Pro-Am, and that is Morris then up into P12. And he is only 1 position away from actually fighting other pro drivers as well. So not too bad, I think. And we do have the start of the pit stop chaos. A couple of drivers into the pits. Conti and Fox now down in P21. 0.3 seconds Conti and the Nissan behind. Fox in the BMW ahead. Into turn 8. Conti did look a little later on the brakes there, and I've just noticed Jordan has a drive-through penalty. So Jordan, who was P3, that BMW, who was battling up at the top for the race lead just a couple of minutes ago, has now got a drive-through. And that, I think, is the end of his podium hopes and dreams, unless he can manage to pull together an amazing recovery run. Now, of course, we have seen his pace last season and this season, so it's not impossible, but it's going to be difficult. Conti now half a second between himself and Fox and Rebecci. is closing that gap. Now it's down to 2 seconds. So Topinka is letting Rebecci work for that gap. But the fact there is that gap there is incredible. Now back up to P7. Jackson just got overtaken by Schubert a couple of seconds ago as they head into Minerali. 0.4 seconds between them now, 0.4, 0.5 seconds. Valentine just got overtaken by Turner, so Valentine is losing ground. He was right behind Hosko when Hosko went into the pit, so there is potential there for Hosko to then have a slightly bigger gap to Valentine this time round. At least that is what he is hoping for. We are now 37 minutes remaining in this race, and the gap between Jackson and Schubert has opened up to about a second now. Half a second between Taylor and Puller. Puller seemingly dropping down the grid slightly. Warburton 0.4, 0.5 seconds. Morris also having made up a 4-second gap to that Mercedes ahead of Warburton. Morris half a second behind now. He's going to be moving up the field again, so you've seen plenty of overtakes from him, but as I've said, all the overtakes we've seen have seemed very unpredictable. They've seemed very dangerous almost as he goes off into the gravel occasionally. Taylor and Puller battling just behind in the background there. Now it's Morris trying to go around the outside of turn 3, now down into turn 5, and he's gone. That is Warburton, just giving him the space he needs. Meanwhile, Taylor and Fox are battling hard for P10 overall, but this is going to be P2 in the class. An ugly exit from the BMW. Not an ugly exit, I mean just a slow exit. Poor exit from Puller in the BMW, and that just allows Taylor to come down round the outside into turn 7 and then just hold the racing line. Pit stop chaos ensues, which means we have time to have a quick look at some replays. So, collision between Hosko and car 13. Let's have a quick look at this. At this point, we're just going to be spamming them, really. Here we go. So, into turn 5, Lavagnos. Oh, okay. So loss of grip, a bit of oversteer on Hosko's side, and he just lets Lavagnos round the outside of turn 7. So that is a position fairly given back. Let's just keep an eye on the timings. Anything interesting happening? Not yet. Of course, we do have all the pit stop chaos happening, and we do have some contact between car 323. Suspicion of who that is. Schubert and another driver. Ooh, okay. Let's see how this goes. On the outside. Oh, that is Schubert and Jackson fighting once again for that position. That is that slight touch we had. I'm actually amazed. That was almost 10 minutes ago. So we've actually seen some really clean racing so far compared to what we saw last week. And of course we were all made aware of that. Now just looking down on the grid, Neville P23 making a move on Pinel sometime soon. Neville in the Pro-Am class and Pinel in the AM class. So I'll probably just say the Porsche Neville and then the BMW of Pinel. Probably just keep it to the car brands, because I can imagine that will be a bit of a tricky one to try and remember. All you'll hear is NL and you'll be like, who's overtaking who? Sorry, I didn't quite get it. But yeah, Neville then, 0.7 seconds. I just did it anyway. Anyways, sorry, I'm getting sidetracked. Porsche, yellow, down at P21. Currently trying to make a move on Pinel, P22. So slightly further down, Morris finally having a battle with Schubert now. Morris around the outside of turn 21, inside of turn 2. That looks to be a move done by the time they hit the braking zone. And yeah, finally, Morris can start fighting his own brothers and sisters up in the pro class. So that is finally Morris past a pro driver, up in P4 now overall and for his class. So that is good news for the man in the Ferrari. He's done a lot to get there, and now he needs to make up 24 seconds to Marcy in order to get a podium, which is going to be tricky. Meanwhile, Jordan down at P9, trying to make a move on Pfeiffer, and Pfeiffer obviously, he just knows it's not really worth fighting this guy because we are in separate classes, won't really influence us. Let's just give him the position. So easy position swap between those two there. Vanya's now into the pits, and with another driver somewhere. Let's have a look at some more contact. 69 and 17. This was Marcy and Hosco. So this was that incident where they, they went hip to hip, slightly sideways. And yeah, I do not have too much contact really listed here. We could have a look at. Probably best not. Anyways, we'll leave that for another day. Looks like Rebecci into the pits as well. Conti up in P15, looking to make moves on Fox ahead. We've seen this a little earlier. Round in P15, is it? Trying to make a move on Fox at some point. I probably just said the same thing twice, didn't I? Anyways, coming into turns 8 and then 9 and 10, it is going to be Conti in that Nissan. Light blue and white Nissan trying to make a move on Foxy in the black BMW. So I clarify that. 0.2 seconds coming into Aqua Minerale. Just ahead, you can see Manchip right up on the tail of Malott, and looks like he has gotten past fairly easily. Malott is actually, just ahead of Fox and Conti. Oh my goodness! That was almost everyone parking on the exit. Malott causing all the traffic to slow. So Malott parking it on the exit of turn 15. Both Fox and Conti just go sailing by. As it is then, Conti not quite managing to get past Fox that time. There was potential going into that final chicane, but it did not happen. Ruben and the Vanios have swapped positions, but that is likely due to a pit stop. Janssen is dropping down. Is he coming into the pits? Janssen's dropping so fast. Yes, he is just going into the pits. He's just stopped. No, sorry, he's just coming out of the pits. He's on his way back out. And Conte, meanwhile, he needs to make progress on Fox and the Vanios so he can start attacking Huben in the Nissan GTR ahead for P3 in the class, the final podium position. And Janssen disqualified in P23. Sad news for the man in the BMW. And Topinka and Marcy and Morris and Taylor all come into pits, so some of our top drivers now. Potentially the last bit of pits of chaos we will see. Schubert now into the lead of the race, but of course he will still have to make a pit stop. We follow Conti though, right up behind Fox again through Aqua Minerale. Hopefully there is not a rust bucket parking it on the entry of turn 14. It'll be interesting to observe though. Lewin also into the pits. Lewin currently P2 for the AM class. So, not much action happening between these two at the moment. There is potential. Potential, but no results yet. And looks like Marcy and Rebecci just swapped positions because, of course, Marcy just pitted. But I think that Rebecci has slightly butchered it in the pit stops. He's now 5 seconds behind Topinka. We've seen that gap close before, but unfortunately, that does not seem to be the case at the moment. So hopefully throughout the rest of the race we might see that gap close. Maybe to about 2.5 seconds, I think, is going to be the gap at the end. That's my prediction. I'm sure it will happen. We'll have to see. Now right up behind, 0.6 seconds between himself and Fox and BMW. There's Hosco in the background, who's also going to be making ground in 2 seconds. So if we just keep an eye on this trio here, we might see some action soon from Hosco, just trying to overtake, just to try and keep the pace up. So Huben and Levine Vanyos just swapped positions, so Vanyos making an overtake up to P7 overall. Class-wise, it's a pro overtaking in the AM, so not much difference there. Conti now right up on the back of Fox, coming into Akram and Arali. Of course, as they battle, that allows Hosco to come in. And of course, a different class driver means, yeah, it's going to be slightly confusing for these guys up in P9 and 10. Of course, they're going slightly wide, not quite trusting that Nissan's braking point, I think. Jordan now into the pits up in P4. 0.2 seconds between Conti and Fox now, so if we can keep it close on the exit of Ravaza through turns 19 and then 20, 21, and then into turn 1 and 2, he's going to have that slipstream. Fox decides he's not going to fight it, he's just going to duck straight into the pits. So Conti now has to deal with Hosco just behind. Conti though in the AM class, Hosco in the Pro-Am class. Interclass racing, there's a slipstream for Hosco. Having a look down the inside. Oh my goodness, and oh! That was almost a catastrophe for Conti. So it looked as if he was checking his pivots for a little too long, a little too distracted by the BMW behind, and just headed into the grass at turn 2. Here's Morris trying to make a move on Taylor on the exit of turn 4. Side by side, Morris down the inside into turn 5. Does he get the move done? Yes, he does. So that's Morris then up into P11. Taylor down to P11. Taylor. Woo! Sorry, brain fog just hit hard. Simmons down in P17, just got to drive through, I assume potentially for speeding in the pit lane on the entry. There are still a couple cars that need to swap positions and that need to still pit. Let's maybe bring up a couple stats. So, well, bringing up the stats will probably also still mess it up. So once all the pit stops have been finished, that's when we can start talking about the stats and stuff, because at the moment it is very much messed up. However, Rebecci and Topinka, that is one gap we can talk about. Rebecci now down to 4 seconds to Topinka. So there does seem to be a difference in pace, and the fastest lap of Topinka is a 142.2. Rebecci's fastest lap is 141.8, so there is potential for almost a half-second difference between them. And I've just checked that standings board on the left-hand side of your screen, and it looks like Foxy has been disqualified. Oh my goodness. Simmons now with a stop-and-go 30 as well. So horrors down at the bottom. I'm not going to lie, Rebecci potentially might have one last shot at Topinka before the end of the race. He's got 25 minutes to make up 3.5 seconds now. Topinka struggling in the heat. It's not too bad, 30 degrees. It's almost optimum, really, for the tyres. But yeah, Rebecci now in P3 overall, 3.3 seconds off Topinka. And in case you're wondering, yes, Schubert still needs to take a pit stop. So, yeah, don't worry about him. He'll be in the pit soon. And you can see, oh, that gap has now gone down to 3 seconds. So Rebecci putting in the hard work. His best lap is 4 tenths faster than Topinka. Let's see how their last lap has been. We do have that data up on screen. Topinka coming across the line now. .9 from Topinka. Rebecci 142.1. That was almost 8 tenths. So Rebecci is pushing hard, and he is closing that gap to Topinka. Is it potentially a fresh set of tyres for the McLaren driver? Is it an old set of tyres for Topinka? And that just means that there's a gap. But of course, we have seen Rebecci's progress on Topinka before all the pit stop chaos. And Warburton just gets a drive through as well. Oh my goodness. We can't have that now. That's not right. I don't want to see that. Warburton, P3 in the AM class. A drive through in P11 overall. Warburton was doing so well. He was racing with the pros, with the Pro-Ams, and he's just not managed to keep it together. Then, well, let's just have a quick review really then of our top 3. We've got Schubert, Topinka and Rebecci, but all in all that's going to be Topinka, Rebecci and then Marcy, our top 3 pro drivers, Human and Conti still need to pit, so that will probably mean it's going to be Pfeiffer, then Lewin, then Pennell for our top 3 AM drivers, and then Hosco, Taylor and Puller are our top 3 Pro-Am drivers. Where has Valentine gone? Valentine is not here anymore. That can't be true. I refuse to believe it. Where has Valentine gone? I cannot see him. We've got Hosco P7, Taylor P10, Puller P12, Vel P17, Simmons, then Manship, then Fox, then Janssen. Janssen being the final driver. So Valentine, we have lost 4 drivers, and I'm assuming now Valentine was one of them. So for some reason, I don't know what it was, whether it was a crash or whether it was a disconnection, whatever it was, Valentine is no longer in the running. So yeah, Taylor could be taking a podium here. His first podium of the season, and same for Puller. Now we did see some good performance from Puller last season as well, and in season 2. So it'll be interesting to watch. Simmons there in the Mercedes, just in the foreground there, right behind Topinka. And yeah, that gap has closed to 2.2 seconds between Rebecci and Topinka. So Rebecci, yes, this is getting exciting. This is getting exciting. Final 20 minutes of the race. We've only got another third of this entire race to go. And Rebecci has caught up to Topinka. Woo! This is going to be entertaining. Last time we saw these two battle, that was about 20 minutes ago as well. And yeah, Jordan got involved. Rebecci in, unfortunately, I have to say, a move reminiscent of round 4, season 2, Zolder. Sends it down the inside of another driver. So as long as he can keep a cool head and not do the same as he did to Jordan and just killed him, we might actually have a proper battle on our hands. Now it's only 1.3 seconds between himself and Topinka ahead. Meanwhile, Conti and Morris, 0.7 seconds. I'm assuming Morris just got past Conti because I saw that gap slightly earlier. So Morris still fighting his way up the leaderboard. But yeah, time to prep for this battle. Hosco now coming up behind Huben, down in P6 and 7. 2 different classes. Huben still needs to let him through. Yeah, there we go. Easy through from the 2 drivers, and Huben still needs to pit. That's what I meant to say. Not that he has to let him through. You know, it's always optional. So the gaps are somewhat stabilising between the drivers, but the gap between Rebecci and Topinka continues to close. I don't know why I started randomly just talking in a tune. I'm getting excited. That's why. It's going to be interesting. Things are going to spice up soon. 0.7 seconds between Rebecci and Topinka up at the front of the grid. The race leaders about to go head to head. Just over half a second between these two now. We've seen the defensive driving from Topinka a little earlier. Taylor about to make a move on Conti. 0.1 seconds between them. I think we can quickly cut to these guys. Conti making a move on Taylor now, side by side, and that is a clean overtake of Conti into the chicane. Beautiful move, textbook from that Nissan driver, and that is interclass racing for you. Huben and Conti, the 2 AM race leaders, need to pit though. They still have a mandatory pit stop to perform, and if they don't, that of course means their disqualification, which is a massive penalty. But Huben's gone wide into Ravazza. That's let Conti and Taylor by. So this is Conti now making a position. Now I wonder whether these two know they still need to do a pit stop. Because if they don't, then that is a catastrophe for them. So they still have 18 minutes left to try and get that pit stop done. And I hope they know that, because at the moment they are currently P8, P9, yes, P1, P2 for their class, but they shouldn't let that distract them. There's Taylor down the inside of Huben in the background there for P9 overall. But of course they are in different classes, so that doesn't really make too much of a difference class-wise. But this is the battle we've been waiting for all race long, since we've seen them battle about 20 minutes in. It is Rebecci onto Pinker, 0.2 seconds between them, coming into the final section now. He will of course have that slipstream, even into Ravazza. Is there potential for a move here? Not quite. He keeps his head cool, keeps it behind, as long as he can put him under pressure onto the main straight. We can see a move. There's Simmons ducking into the pits now, not sure why. Here we go. Rebecci, 0.3 seconds behind Topinka. This is on the bonnet of that red McLaren. Topinka already trying to alter that racing line, maybe trying to put Rebecci off, but that hasn't put him off at all. Instead, he closed that gap on the braking. So yeah, there is still plenty to happen between these two before the race ends. 17 minutes for Rebecci to make that move. 17 minutes left. He's got all that time. He can just do whatever until the race ends. Obviously he wants to get past, but he's got all that time. He's still got 15 minutes left. He can afford to sit behind Topinka for 15 minutes, make him sweat, make him maybe push his tyres over the limit, if they're not already over the limit. And then obviously he'll just have, hopefully, the pace to overtake right at the end of the race. 15 minutes remaining, not long though. Oh, and it's a rough exit for Topinka out of turn 13. Already trying to cover that inside line into the final chicane. Rebecci, you are going to make that move sometime soon, aren't you? He's right up behind him, coming out of turn 15, now through turn 16. There's going to be the right-hander of 17 down the hill into Ravazza. Is there potential for an overtake here? No desperate lunges. Good. Keep a cool head, Rebecci, and you can get it done. 0.3 seconds between these two now on the exit. Rebecci, of course, right up behind that Lambo, has been leading 2 races this season so far, and was leading every single race except the final one in season 2. Is this maybe a move down the inside into turn 2? Woo! He was thinking about it, but ultimately pulled out, or he just didn't have the pace to overtake. But on the exit of turn 4, he does have a little bit of a run down the inside now. Having a look into turn 5, not there. Meanwhile, Schumacher and Morris just ready to position. Morris overtaking for P5. Overall, that's going to be P5 for his class. Rebecci now, we are following close up behind that Lamborghini. We haven't actually seen them come through this uphill section and then into Aqua Minerale. Do we think there is going to be a chance at a move there? Woo! And Rebecci does need to be aware that he is going to be faster than Topinka. He's already made up the 5-second gap on him before. This on supposedly and previously the fastest man on the grid. But Rebecci is trying to prove otherwise. He's half a second behind. And as we said, he's got 15 minutes left to make a move. Jordan and Taylor down at P8 and P9 having a fight. That is interclass racing though. Jordan currently in the BMW trying to make a move on Taylor in the McLaren. Taylor does seem to be losing out slightly in terms of pace today. Depending on the exit of Rebecci out of turn 19, he might be able to drop down to have a quick look, 0.4 seconds between the two. It's unknown, and it is possible that Jordan's already made that move. No, he hasn't. 0.3 seconds between himself and Taylor. Just a position swap just a couple of seconds ago from Largen. Pennell just dropped to Novell. Oh, I've done it, haven't I? Pennell dropped to Novell. So, yeah, that happened. And Taylor is still under threat from Jordan. 0.4 seconds between them. So, yeah, I just realised my voice got quite loud on this. I'm trying to lighten it up. Yeah, I'm getting tense. I'm getting, as we said, getting butterflies from Rebecci. about to make a move on Topeka at any point. He has had a couple goes at him, and unfortunately they just haven't worked out. Topeka is playing the defensive game at the moment. He only needs to last 13 more minutes. We are counting almost every second now. I'm sure both of them are counting every second. Jordan now 0.2 seconds, 0.3 seconds off Taylor, down at P8. Oh my goodness, that's Topeka with a slightly rubbish exit out of turn 15. Maybe a move into the chicane. No, Rebecci is still far out. Right up on the back of him, coming out of turn 15 though, right out on the exit. Jordan is also only 0.2 seconds off Taylor down in P8, trying to keep an eye on that as well. Into Vaza, not quite there. This is going to be interesting. Onto the main straight once again. 0.2 seconds between them. Could this finally be enough of a gap for Rebecci to use that slipstream into turn 2? Topeka thinks so. He's over on the left-hand side of the track. Rebecci, there's the move down into the inside. No, he's still slightly too far back. So a little change of lines there as they go into the braking zone. That's still okay from Topeka, so advanced defensive driving from the man in the pink Lambo, and he has only managed to make a minute. 3 laps, oh my goodness, going around the outside into turn 7. Rebecci's got his nose in, oh my goodness, and they touch. The 2 race leaders battling hard now for the race lead overall and for their class. This potentially Topeka being beaten on fair ground by Rebecci. First time we'll see this in about 8 races. And that gap has dropped down slightly, but on the exit Rebecci again looks very strong. 0.2 seconds to Topeka. Topeka going defensive quite early on the exit of turn 13. Knowing that, as Rebecci, I will just focus on getting as good an exit as possible out there, because I know Topeka's exit out of turn 15, out of that chicane, is alright, but then the exit of turn 13 after Aqua Minerale, I know he's going to be slightly slower, so if I prioritise trying to get my speed through there, as well as out of Ravaza, just try and keep that gap as close as I can, 0.2 seconds between them. Is this just going to be a replay of what's happened for the past 2 laps? Rebecci right up behind Topeka. Topeka is playing mind games at the moment. He's going off the racing line to try and make it as difficult for Rebecci to get that slipstream as possible. Rebecci doesn't mind though. He's still right up behind Topeka on the exit there. You can see Lewin in the Mercedes right there in the background, getting out the way. Good awareness, good blue flag protocol there from the man who is currently in P15 overall, and potentially the final podium finish at P3. Here's a look from Rebecci down the inside into turn 9. A little look makes the Topeka think, puts him under a little bit of pressure. Woo! This is getting close now into Aqua Minerale. 0.2 seconds, 0.3 seconds. We know Topeka's exit out of turn 13 is not too hot. 0.3 seconds, 0.2 seconds. No, not quite. But under braking, that McLaren just seems so much better. But Topeka slightly sideways on the exit at turn 15. Is there a little bit of a run? Yes, there is. Rebecci now right on the slipstream, right on the rear bumper. He's going round the outside now into Ravaza, into turn 18. A little tap on the rear bumper of Topeka. And Topeka's gone wide. There's the move from Rebecci down into turn 19. Rebecci takes the race lead. Brilliant move. It's been coming for 40, 50 minutes. And he has finally done it. That is Rebecci up into the race lead. And we have waited almost 9 races for this, but Topeka is not quite happy to let that position go so easily. Round the outside now into turn 2 goes Topeka. Oh my goodness, and he's got that move almost done. Rebecci and Topeka now side by side coming through turn 3, and Topeka has to back out on the exit of turn 3, now through turn 4. That means Rebecci is ultimately still ahead by the time they hit the end of that sequence. Oh my goodness. and it has finally happened. 9 races it has taken for someone to beat Topinka. He has been unbeatable so far, and Rebecci now half a second ahead of that Lamborghini. He's got 8 minutes to gap him or just to stay ahead, and we've seen the type of pace that Rebecci's pulled out this race. He has utterly deserved it. He has been half a second faster than Topinka almost every lap. He's closed a 6-second gap to Topinka about halfway through. It has been an absolutely incredible race for the man currently in P1. So now he just needs to keep a cool head. Woo! I'm gonna need a glass of water after that one. A little further down the grid, nothing happening there yet. Half a second between them. I think it might be safe to have a little look. We do have the collision between Rebecci and Topinka as they came into Revarsa a little earlier. We probably won't look at that. We do have a collision between 197 and 22. That is going to be Jordan and Taylor probably in their overtake a little earlier while we were following this action. Half a second between Topinka and Rebecci. I just want to see whether Topinka decides to go for a very desperate lunge. It would have to be very, very desperate. I think that is essentially Rebecci sealed in his position as race leader. Yes, slightly slow exit from Topinka through turn 3. Slightly different lines, I believe, is the difference between these two. Let's have a quick look at Jordan's overtake. Here is Jordan in the BMW right up behind Hosco. Jordan made an overtake on Taylor, who's P2 in the Pro-Am class. Let's have a quick look at what happened here. So, right up behind, literally centimetres. Whoa! He was like, I want that racing line, you get out of the way. And that is Jordan round at turn 7. Past now Jordan making a move on Hosco, the 2 BMWs. Hosco, I think, lifting slightly just to let that man through. But that then does mean that he is under threat from Taylor, not far behind. Taylor for the Pro-Am class race lead, potentially a battle developing at some stage, but considering Taylor's pace, I wouldn't think too much of it, except that in the last lap there's a 1.3 second difference, but that is probably due to Hosco again just lifting slightly for Jordan all the way through, or earlier he just had a really rough lap, because the best lap between these two varies by about a second. Of course Hosco did have some really good pace in quali, and of course throughout this race he's not been too bad. So yeah, coming back to that an overtake from Jordan and Taylor. Wow, that was quite funny to watch actually. Taylor trying to go on the defensive, and Jordan says, "Oh, mate, I'm going to take that line. I want that line." And yeah, he was right up on the left-hand side of that track, just about a car's width there. So I would say that is fair racing, just a little bit of a tap there, not anything too crazy. And yeah, Taylor then drops down a position. Jordan got past both of them, so if he can make progress on the field, he's got to make up quite a large gap to Schubert, about 5 seconds to Schubert, and considering their best lap times are about a second apart, it's not too ridiculous, but of course there is the aspect of tyre wear. There's all that other stuff to consider as well, especially as we come to the end of the race. Some drivers will be running on their original tyre set, while another kind of driver might have swapped out a fresh set. That does mean it's a loss of 5 seconds in terms of time to the driver ahead, and a loss of time to the driver behind. You're losing 5 seconds. That's it. That's all there is to say, really. You're losing 5 seconds if you put on a fresh set, but obviously then you have more grip. You'll have a fresh set of tyres. Again, it all just depends on the driver and their driving style. If you're a really aggressive driver and you end up eating up a lot of the tyres, then obviously that's not, you'd want the fresh set probably. If you are a little more patient, you might regulate your pace slightly in order to do so. You could just last the entire race on one set, but it is also very possible to just go nuts and yeah, just keep running it, just keep running the same set. Oh, Huben in the background, slightly sideways. Now Conti is still not pitted. Conti in the AM race lead has not pitted yet. 3.5 minutes left in the race. I wonder whether he knows about this. If he doesn't, that is an impending catastrophe for that Nissan driver. Car 21. I do hope he sees it. I do hope he sees it. Too many races have been ruined by drivers not quite reading the race details. Not enough drivers paying attention to their HUD. So I do hope Conti realises he still needs to pit. Because if not, then yeah, he's in big trouble. And he will not be winning the race. He will potentially not even finish on the podium. And though he's still filing past the pit lane, it is not looking good for our man in the Nissan. If we can maybe build up enough of a gap on the drivers behind, potentially, but there is not enough of a gap. 16 seconds to Pfeiffer behind, so likely it's going to be Pfeiffer, then Warburton, then Lewin as our top 3 AM class drivers, our podium finishers. Then also in the Pro-Am class, it's going to be Hosko, then Taylor, then Puller. Puller and Taylor, 2 new podium finishers. And then for our Pro class, it's the first time we've been able to say this, but Topinka is not in P1. It's Rebecci, then Topinka, then Marcy. Now, as things die down, it is the last 2 minutes of the race. Let's have a quick look at the grid changes. Rebecci, of course, up 1 position. Topinka down a position. Marcy up 4 positions. So good performance from Marcy. In fact, he does have the highest speed in the speed trap, 269 kilometers an hour. Then Hosko down 5 positions, Taylor up 11 positions. So in fact, it's been a good race for Taylor. Same as Puller actually, and Conti. So that little trio, 9, 10 and 11, they've all gone up by 11 positions each. So Taylor and Puller, 2 podium finishes. Conti, potentially a podium finisher if he pits. If he pits, he needs to pit either now or next lap. If he doesn't, then he's sunk. Then he will lose P1. The annoying thing is, even on my software that I've got, it says he has pitted for 39 seconds, but he has probably not changed out the fuel. There it is, coming into the pits. He realised something was wrong, into the pits. I do hope he doesn't have a drive-through. If he does, that could be his hopes and dreams shattered again. To Conti now. Where will he emerge? 9 seconds to Pfeiffer, 32 seconds to Warburton, so he might still potentially come out in P2. You can see a couple of the other cars currently stopped in the pit lane. And 30 seconds remain. Jordan now right up behind Schubert in P6 and P7. This is the end of that little train of cars. In the
Right,
7.
leader is on the final lap.
And the leader is on the final lap. Jordan has a final lap to take care of business with Schubert. We saw the aggressive overtaking style down at turn 7 with Taylor a little earlier. Let's see what happens to Schubert, whether there is any difference. And where has Conti come out? Conti has just been overtaken by Warburton and Lewin. So yeah, unfortunately Conti, with an extra pit stop, has lost out on a podium position. Heartbreaking for the man in the light blue Nissan. We might see him at the end of the straight here. Jordan behind, and Conti receives the stop and go 30 seconds as well. Such an exciting race for him, but right at the end, unfortunately losing out. There's a move from Jordan down the inside into turn 2. Having a look, not quite there yet. Still close racing between these two on the final lap. We'll follow them closely. We also need to keep an eye on Rebecci, the race leader. He's just coming into turns 14 and 15 now. Jordan, same place as Taylor. Doesn't go down the inside. He has a look, but it's not quite there yet. But we'll have to hold off on watching this battle. We can maybe come back to it, because for the first time in 9 races, someone other than Topinka is finishing the race in first place. Rebecci with an incredible run through the entire race. He has fully deserved it. It is finally Rebecci winning round 2 of season 4, and the checkered flag waves at Imola for the first time this evening. Rebecci wins round 2 of season 4. P2 Topinka, P3 Marcy. And then a little further down, it is going to be Schubert and Jordan still fighting for one of the last Pro Championship positions, 0.4 seconds between them. Is it going to be a final desperate lunge from the BMW on the Ferrari? No, it isn't. As long as that Ferrari can get through the final corner somewhat in a good, stable condition, then we will be all good. Here they are coming across the line now. Jordan just at the end, just not enough time to make the overtake on the Ferrari. Good racing from both of them as they come across the finish line. And then it is going to be Hosko crossing the line once again for yet another race win. Good performance from the man in the BMW. Then Taylor comes across, and Muller also, I'm sure, thrilled coming through with Vaza now. And it has been a good race for 2 and, well, really all 3 of our Pro-Am podium finishes. It always is for the podium finishes. So there we go, Muller now the final podium finisher for the Pro-Am class. Then Pfeiffer now coming through the final couple corners. It's taken him 2 seasons to get back into it, but he is back right up on the top step of the podium. Pfeiffer wins round 2. The checkered flag waves for our final winner of the evening, and that is Pfeiffer, then Warburton, then Lewin as our top 3 AM class drivers. What an end to tonight's race, and what a result for all our drivers here today as well. So then, that is the end of round 2 season 4 GT3 Championship. What a race it has been. We have seen one of the greats fall tonight, so we do also keep him in mind, but also we were all excited to finally see someone called Topinka stand at the top and receive the trophy for P1. So Rebecci takes the race win from the Pro class. Hosko once again on the podium in P1 for the Pro-Am class, and then Pfeiffer again finally back up on top, P1 for the AM class. And that is the end of round 2, ladies and gents. Thank you so much for joining us. Next race is going to be at Woodland Park, race 3, same time, 7 PM BST. Wherever you are in the world, it will be a different time. Well, locally, it will still be 7 PM BST. So just join us either on YouTube or Twitch. Thank you guys for being on both platforms. Really appreciate that. And we will come back together for another epic race next week. Hopefully we'll see you all there. Good night.